What's up, North County? I'm your host, Randy Doty, and today we are talking the 2025 SLO Sheriff Rodeo with Sheriff Ian Parkinson and Undersheriff Chad Nicholson. Thanks for coming in, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. And first off, I want to start off with Chad. Congratulations on your new position, Undersheriff.
Thank you.
That's a pretty big
Slim
step.
pickings around here.
Yeah. And Sheriff, so Chad, you know, how did you decide Chad? Was that I'm sure it's pretty tough.
Yeah, no, there's obviously a lot of qualified people, but you know, for me, Chad is my fourth undersheriff since I've been in office. They retire. I always look for somebody that I think carries the same values that I do, that has the same work ethic, and obviously capable of filling in for me when I'm gone, but ultimately replace me. You know, that's what you're always looking for. Build somebody up to that point, and you know, Chad from day one has proven how qualified he is, and as his career progressed and the experience that he had, he was the perfect fit. I mean, he was somebody that I felt was really capable of taking to the next level. But most importantly for me is I could be away or off, and that if he filled in, I was going to be very happy with the job he did.
Very awesome. Well, congratulations and well deserved.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'm having a good time.
Well,
and
good.
he's easy to work for, so it makes it nice. Yeah.
Good deal. Yeah. Well, we haven't seen you since for a year, and since then, congratulations, you recently married.
I did.
Right?
I got married and very happy, and everything's going great.
Very cool.
North County resident now for almost 5 years.
Awesome.
Just over 5 years, so I love it up here.
Awesome. Well, the heat's coming, regardless of what the outside weather looks like.
Yep.
So we're looking at the 2025 SLO Sheriff Rodeo. This is year number 4, right, Chad?
Yes.
And oh man, a lot of things have changed since the very first one to now coming into the 4th annual SLO Sheriff Rodeo. So can you share with me some of the changes?
Yeah, each year we've just tried to get a little bit bigger and better, but not outgrow ourselves or bite off more than we can chew. I mean, the sheriff's really good at, I guess, kind of grabbing me by the collar and pulling me back a little bit, because sometimes I want to, just go more and more and more. So this year is the first time we've expanded to a 2-day event. So we have our Friday night kickoff concert this year with Easton Corbin, which is extremely exciting because he's a great artist, has a lot of top 10 singles over his career. And so anyway, he's coming out to play a kickoff concert on Friday night, and then we'll roll into our rodeo on Saturday. And that's on top of all of our qualifiers throughout the week. We've expanded our fan zone. We have more vendors, more shopping for the attendees at the rodeo. We have a bounce house village and a whole kids area for the kids. We have an expanded kind of food court area. So we're just kind of trying to build it more and more, not necessarily like a fair, but kind of that fair type atmosphere or experience, where there's more to do than just a concert or the rodeo.
Do you look at what you're building to where it's becoming more than, I mean, I know your vision when we first started talking, years ago, your vision was very high, but it's starting to morph into this whole vision and concept. Like you said, now 2 days, you got the fan zone, you've got, bulls, you got, I mean, this is a big undertaking. I mean, this is a full committee that is a part of what you guys do. Yeah,
we have a lot of hands on deck that help out with it. Our rodeo committee that is predominantly members of the sheriff's office that volunteer their time, obviously, to make this event, go forward. And then we have a handful of members of the public that have joined the committee as well. But ultimately, like when we created the event, 4 years ago, we wanted to create a great community event to where people could come out and enjoy the sport of rodeo, enjoy law enforcement, be around law enforcement men and women, not in a negative light, obviously, in a positive light, celebrate the Western way of life and just bring everybody together. And since, everybody seems to kind of buy into that, then we wanted to expand the event and just give them more time to do that over more days. And for us, I mean, unfortunately, in law enforcement, it seems like most of the time when you come across somebody, it's some sort of a negative situation because you're either a suspect in a crime, a victim in a crime, or a witness to a crime. So anytime they can interact with, law enforcement in a positive light like this is beneficial to everybody.
Now, Sheriff, you've been to several of these sheriff rodeos throughout California, correct?
Correct.
And so, how does this one represent or compare to like some of the bigger ones? Because I think there's a big one down south, San Bernardino, correct?
Correct.
Up in Sacramento, there's some that are really big. How does this one compare to those?
Personally, no offense to anybody else, I think we're way better. And I'll say that, I mean, for me, being exposed to particularly San Bernardino, it was an amazing event, and it is an amazing event. We just went this last year. We'll, I'm sure go again this year. But when their sheriff comes up to ours and is in awe of what, we have put together and has actually taken things that we have done, wants to incorporate in their own, and that rodeo has been going on for years. It's a pretty good feeling that they see that. As far as some of the other ones, I have to say, they have opened up. Sacramento is a great example. They opened up because of us. They saw what we did, and particularly they have spent time with this guy, picking his brain because of his past knowledge and understanding of it, and really wanted to try to model it after us. We're very fortunate. We have a great facility at the fairgrounds that really accommodates, a lot of what we want. But when they come to our rodeo and see the energy that we are, in the job that we're producing, it excites them and they want the same thing. But I don't, I think they're different. If you compare us to San Bernardino, we're different. They have, a 3-day event basically. And it's a little bit different from ours. And they have a larger base down there. But I think everybody that has seen ours and seen the work that goes into it, and Chad said earlier, I mean, Chad's the driving force, and his really partner in crime in this, Nate Paul, they eat, breathe, and sleep this all the time, and it's a lot of work. They put a lot of work into this, and unfortunately, he's got volunteers in the committee to help, but I don't think people really realize how much work goes into it until you've done it. And I think these sheriff's offices that have been to ours and want to do the same thing, and then they see ours and they're thinking, oh, we could do that. And then they get into it and they realize how much work is involved to make it, make it a fun, successful event, and are truly envious of what we are doing here as a model.
5 years ago, when Chad and Nate came to you with this concept idea, did you foresee it being what it is today?
Well, because I had been exposed to it, the San Bernardino already, I wanted one. The truth is I kind of envisioned what they had more or less on a smaller scale, and the first year really, changed that tremendously. What I really saw with San Bernardino is that the community support and the connection with law enforcement. That, to me, what it was all about. They're not in it to make money. We're not in it to make money. And the money that we make, we want to put back into the law enforcement community. But it's grown beyond, my belief. The first year kind of shocked us. We thought it was gonna be great, but we had more people show up than we expected. And then, of course, the year after that, the word got around. And I think one way of kind of gauging that is the community. When you go out in the community right after the event or before the event, particularly after the first year, and people are talking about it everywhere and are excited about it, and the ones that didn't go are disappointed they didn't get to go, that kind of shows you what is happening. And it's really driven to the fans. You can't get into the fair for $10.
Right.
Going to the rodeo, Easton Corbin that we added on this year, $20 for a ticket to go to a concert.
Nothing.
I mean, nobody's going to be able to do that, and that's what we want. I mean, I've been hit by countless people saying, you ought to raise your rates, you can make more money. And our response has always been the same, and this has never been about money. This is about a community event, connection to law enforcement. And if it's not affordable, then people aren't going to go. We want it to be affordable. We want people to be able to say, hey, I'm going to go to this instead of going to the movies, this weekend. And I can afford it, and I'm going to have a great time. And I think the the addition of the concert is going to make it better because it's still about the Western way of life. It's a Western conference or concert, but people that maybe not too big into rodeos want to go to the concert or both. And so I think it's a great addition. And I think even the concert after the rodeo, how much fun people have. So I think this model going forward is a really good way to engage our community that we don't have that often.
And I think a good testament, Chad, would be your sponsors. I mean, the sponsors that want to be a part of it and ride this journey with you. I mean, you closed out sponsors last month, right? Because you started and you have the banners filled up in the arena. And so, tell me a little bit about the sponsors that you guys have.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way any of this would be possible without our sponsors, you guys included. But each year, the sponsorships just grow exponentially. And with that being said, the sponsors from the previous year, they renew every single year. So it's hard for certain new sponsors to say, for example, if you want to sponsor the team roping, that you can't because that one's already taken and it's the same sponsor that does it every single year and so on. Madonna Inn, for example, for the open team roping. So we have to keep thinking of different sponsorship levels and packages that we can offer because we have so many people wanting to sponsor, which is great. But because of those sponsorships, that's what makes the event what it is. Ultimately, we are able to rent, the premier facility in the state of California. You guys were talking about what makes us different or what makes us better. Outside of being on the beautiful Central Coast, the Paso Robles Event Center is probably the premier equine facility in the state of California for anything equine related. I mean, when you have multiple arenas, one that's covered inside that you could have qualifiers in, but at the same time have your whole infrastructure set up already outside for an even bigger event produced later that night, and a built-in stage and skyboxes and everything's paved around there and clean. It's totally different than other rodeos you'll go to, that might be just a temporary setup kind of in the middle of nowhere. So that really helps. So yeah, our sponsors are what are able to make this all happen for us.
So Chad, tell me a little bit about like the whole map of the event of the weekend. So 2-day event, you got Friday night, you got Easton Corbin, $20 tickets. You got Saturday, you got the fan zone. What time does that open and what can somebody expect?
Yeah, let me back up just a little bit before that, if you don't mind. So starting on technically Wednesday is when things kick off, and that's when our barrel racing qualifier is hosted, and it's hosted at A+B Ranch in Paso Robles here, and they produce the barrel racing qualifier, which is Alana and Brian Bobson. They do a great job. So that's Wednesday night. Thursday night, Allison Grantham has the breakaway qualifier here at her place in Templeton, Chasing Money Arena. So the breakaway and the barrels qualifiers will be produced those 2 nights.
So that's it, two nights only.
What's that? Well, for those
Right.
two events.
Okay.
And then we take the top 10 qualifiers. So the top 10 women from each of those events will qualify towards our final Saturday night. So those qualifiers are done. Then the remainder of the qualifying events start on Friday morning at the fairgrounds in the covered arena, and that's your team roping qualifiers, your sorting qualifiers, your sort and rope, your mugging, all of that stuff. And then we take the top teams from all those as well. So that goes in the Friday, and then Friday evening the gates will open to the fan zone area at 5 o'clock. And the concert will be about 7 to 7:30, somewhere in there is when Easton Corbin's going to kick off. And then he'll play about an hour and a half set, somewhere in there. And then we'll finish up that evening and get everybody off grounds for the next day, which is obviously Saturday, the day of our rodeo, the day of our finals. That day, the grounds will open at 2 o'clock for the fan zone, and the rodeo performance starts at 5, and the rodeo usually goes till about 8 o'clock, and then Bitterwater Road will play a full concert after that. And Bitterwater Road plays they do an outstanding job playing. They play covers, a lot of 90s country, a lot of updated country, but they are very, very good. And we felt that they'd be a great act for a post-rodeo concert. So that's kind of the layout of it. So yeah, if they come to the fan zone area, like I say, there's shopping, there's food, there's beverages, both, adult beverages and, non-alcoholic. There's a rod and hammer zone that has mechanical bulls and whiskey tastings. And there's just a lot to do that we're trying to do, grow each year. So I think people will have a good time. And on top of all that, I forgot to mention, on Saturday at 2:30 is our mutton busting qualifier in the covered arena. So we'll have 80 kids that'll qualify, or that'll compete to qualify for the finals, and we'll take the top 10 back that night as well.
Wow. So to confirm, so Friday night there is like a fan zone going on out there in the midway before this concert.
Yep. So just to kind of give fans a little bit of a look of what to expect, you'll enter the fairgrounds through the main entryway, the main front gates there off Riverside. And right when you walk through those gates, it opens up into that courtyard. And that's where a lot of our vendors will be set up. We'll have our merchandise trailer. We have a lot of shopping vendors. We'll be in there, that little park grass area that's surrounded by the rock wall there. That's where our rod and hammer zone is at. We'll have things going on the midway. As you go down the midway towards Jimmy's a little bit, we'll have the whole kids area, bounce house villages, and some other climbing walls and things like that for them. We have food courts and all that set up. So quite a bit to do.
Chad, do you sleep now between now and the rodeo, or?
It's funny you mentioned that, because I was telling the sheriff last night I woke up at about 1:30. Again, I usually wake up every night at about 1:30, and most of the time I can fall back asleep after 45 minutes to an hour. Last night I didn't, and especially as it gets closer to the rodeo, because your mind just doesn't turn off. It just keeps going and going. So
I think he inherited that from me. That's the problem, is I get up very early, into the office very early, and sleep horribly, to the most part. And poor guy's picked it up, because now it's like, okay, what time did you get up today?
Right? He's got to beat you.
Yeah.
But, it's another good testament of the success of the Sheriff Rodeo is the fact that now other organizations and other events are planning their year and their events around you guys.
Yeah.
And
it's funny, because I won't name the name of the person I was talking to, but I was at a roping event last weekend and talking to one of the team ropers who's got a wedding to go to that same day. And he's like, oh, this wedding's on the same day. And he's like, well, I can, even if I just go to the ceremony and then maybe I can skip the reception and come up and compete, in the finals or so. And that's what a lot of people think, as far as like, how can I still make the Sheriff's Rodeo work? Because it's turned into kind of a premier event here on the coast.
Well, it seems like, the production of it is professional, been doing it for years, which, you've been involved with it. You and Nate have been thinking about this for years and years and years, and you guys finally put the, pencil to the paper and made it happen. But the end result, once the dust clears, it's such a great production from start to finish. You have top-notch, bulls. You have, now you have bull riders. You have Velocity PBR bull riders. You had Aaron Williams last year, which now is currently number 3 in the Velocity Tour. Is he going to make it? I don't know. Is he going to be here? He's got a baby, kind of coming, but, but it's not like you have just local schmoes. You have top-notch cowboys and cowgirls in this.
Well, and that's what we're trying to do all the way across the board. Like I told you before, everything has to be top-notch production value, whether it's the contestants, whether it's the stock, whether it's the sound, the lighting, the artists. Even Easton Corbin's a great artist, and to be able to get him to come out for this rodeo, and clearly he doesn't just play anywhere, So I think he's in Phoenix the night before, and then he's coming here the following night, and then the night after, I believe he's going to Reno or so. So we're becoming a bigger stop on some of their tours, and I know they're already looking for artists for next year and so on. So yeah, it's definitely growing and building.
Yeah, I think that's what the fair was all about. The fair started their concerts back in, the Maynard Potter days, and they got this reputation for being a great venue to go and play. And so if you look at the years of the artists that the fair has had, it's because of their reputation. And when, Randy, you bring up the production of it, if you go to a poorly produced show, whatever it is, you know it right away, that it's not running smooth. It's not, they're not hitting the ground running. It's not planned out very well. When it's planned out very well, people enjoy it. There's no dead time. The thing is moving along. But also when you bring in an artist like Easton Corbin, it's a reputation that you're building. And so for just Easton Corbin to come, for us to have him now, for other artists to know that we hosted Easton Corbin, and that I'm sure the managers talk about how did it go, was it well attended, taken care of. Those things are building your reputation, and I think that's what's happened over the last 4 years. The reputation of this event has grown because of the production of it, because of what we offer. If you look at the fan zone, and when Chad says about me pulling him back, Chad's got an idea, but unfortunately a lot of the work comes through him. So it's like, okay, one step at a time. This is a big step, having a Friday night concert. It fit. It was the right thing to do. And I'm sure it will be successful. But expanding food and merchandise, things that, we don't necessarily have to do, that vendors do, that, that bring more people into the fair, that or into the rodeo, that want to see it, and they have something they can sell or something they can buy is really big. And it's, in 4 years to grow to this point, I think is pretty unheard of. And the reputation of it amongst the competitors, I mean, it's a big deal. And timing, there's no perfect timing, face it, I mean, for most events, but this has kind of been a good point in time for us to attract, top performers and artists, and it's a perfect time of year for the fans.
So for the sheriff, it's the Sheriff Advisory Association, right? Is that
Foundation.
The foundation? So they're really the beneficiary for this, correct? So tell me a little bit about what they do.
So the Sheriff's Foundation, or Advisory Foundation, was formed back under Sheriff Ed Williams 3 sheriffs ago, and it really started with a horrific plane crash. And what happened is that the sheriff's office came on it. They didn't own a command post at the time, and the airlines, in which the plane crash was involved, offered the sheriff to buy them, the sheriff's office, a command post. We had no mechanism to accept it. And so Sheriff Williams decided that if I start at 501c3, a nonprofit that we support the sheriff's office, this is a mechanism to buy it. So that's what happened. That's what came out of that tragedy, is the command post, and then the support of local law enforcement in the sense of buying equipment that the county or cities cannot afford. This is what the foundation is all about. So going through the foundation, allowing them to profit from it, which profits all law enforcement in our county, was the purpose behind it, and continues to be the purpose. That's why I said, when self-producing, a rodeo yourself to make money as a business, yeah, you might charge more prices, but that's not our end goal. Our end goal was never that. However, you're bound to make money, and that's a law enforcement tie-in and law enforcement cause. And the board itself is really almost all citizens in the county. Members, people can join as a membership, and participate and help support their local law enforcement.
But it's more of like for the needs. So all the money that you make, it's not like it's going into your pocket. It's going back into the foundation for the needs of, the different groups, SWAT,
K9.
rural, K9. So all the needs that doesn't necessarily get fulfilled through other means, this is what this is for.
Yeah, not a dime goes into our pockets. We don't, not a single member makes a penny off of this. This is, all the proceeds are either going back into the event to grow the equipment that we need. We bought our own bucking chutes. Each year we buy something that we own, as opposed to going and borrowing it or renting it, expanding it. But also the money goes back to the foundation to support all those things that you just mentioned. So it's really, we're going to reach a point where we have pretty much all the equipment and stuff that we need. So, potentially even more into to the Sheriff's Foundation.
And I want to reiterate the fact that you're self-funding your sheriffs. I mean, your different organizations, your employees, more or less. So instead of going to, the needs of the public, the needs of the people, saying we need, new, canine needs teeth, needs this and that, you're able to dip into your own funds that you guys have raised and put your, blood, sweat, and tears into without having to ask for the public's assistance.
Absolutely. It saves the public money because these things are needed. They're not luxury items, but there's tight budgets all the time. So this is a way of supporting the taxpayer, and the taxpayer in turn is supporting the event that helps fund those things that ordinarily their tax dollar would go to, but they might not be able to, the agency might not be able to afford it.
Awesome. So Chad, tell me a little bit about, Nate, you and Nate Paul's ride to where you're at now. You have a really interesting story how you guys started this back in the car, thinking of the ideas of having this, and now you're here, year number 4.
Yeah, well, like we've talked about on previous shows, Nate and I obviously share a common interest in the sport of rodeo, and he has a daughter that, high school rodeoed and junior rodeoed and all of that. So he had, when we first met, when I first started here, she was junior high rodeo maybe, or maybe just starting high school rodeo. I think it was junior rodeo. So anyways, we would talk about, just her rodeoing and him having to go to the rodeos. And we would just always talk about the sport of rodeo because of my upbringing and background and so on. And then discuss when we were working patrol together years ago, how fun it would be to produce a rodeo someday together, because he talked to me about obviously what my experience was in life before this, and which was rodeo production. That's what my kind of degree was in and all that. So we had discussed, okay, what would that look like in the future, and just dabbled around it a little bit. And then when the sheriff, talked to me about starting a rodeo years later, that's when, I obviously brought Nate on as kind of a partner to help with the whole thing. So it kind of came full circle, which is pretty neat.
So Sheriff, you're the one that brought this up to them?
Yeah, well, unbeknownst to me that they had prior discussions about doing a rodeo. I went to the San Bernardino rodeo and just kind of fell in love with it, said this is what we need to have our name on, because this is what it's all about, is bringing community out with law enforcement. And obviously I knew Chad's background, so we had a discussion and brought in the foundation and said if the foundation be willing to help sponsor, particularly the first year, because we didn't have any money and we didn't know what kind of sponsorship we were going to get. And so the foundation said they liked the idea, and so we actually were going to move forward the year before it started, or that was kind of when some of the discussions really got, and then the pandemic hit, and it kind of altered some of the plans. But it's easy, Randy, to sit back and say, hey, I want this, but then you have to have the people that are capable of doing it. And I think that's what we've experienced. And he's got to experience from agencies that, I go to state sheriff's meetings and say, rodeo's coming up. And we have a number of sheriffs that come every year. I think we had like 7 last year or something from around the state that came. And they see what I saw in San Bernardino and say, what a great community event. The problem is they lack the expertise. And so even for me to say, I want it, I have to have good people that have the knowledge to do it. And that's where, first Chad came in, and then Chad's, contact or conversations with Nate came in and took the ball and ran with it.
Yeah, and when the sheriff first brought it up in 2019, I remember the year it was, because I remember kind of the whole conversation, and then we were discussing of what those plans would look like. And you've heard my saying before, you only get one chance to make a first impression, obviously doing it right. And we had discussed where it would be at, and Creston Rodeo Grounds was thrown out, and a few other ideas were discussed, and then it was the Paso Event Center. If we want to make a statement, that's that's where it's got to be. And then with the pandemic hitting, like the sheriff had said, it shut down all events, so we couldn't do it in 2020. And then 2021 rolled around, and they started to open up events again, but you were limited on the attendees that could come. And remember, you had the social distancing and how, you know, everybody, all the guidelines people had to operate under. So we held off again, and it was beneficial though, because it gave us 2 additional years to really plan. So then in 22 was our first year, and we had this kind of in the hopper boiling for, you know, 2 years.
I know I asked this question last year and the year before, but I'm going to ask it again. Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night, just scratch your head and go, what in the hell am I doing?
Yeah, but I think it helps keep me sane and stuff too, because as crazy as that sounds, with as big of an undertaking is, this job, I mean, you talk to anybody in this job and it wears on you, you know, and it's, you got to have something to escape law enforcement just in general, because it's 24/7, 365. It never stops. And especially for the sheriff's office, when we handle the entire county and the county jail and so on. So for me, having the escape of the ranches to go and, you know, ride my horses and rope and, you know, move cattle and all that, and then produce the rodeo, it can get your mind off of law enforcement some. And I really enjoy it, because just seeing the enjoyment that the whole community has around it is what it's all about. And we say, like, kind of part of our mission statement with this is celebrating the Western way of life. And I think kind of honing in on that more, the Western way of life is, the reason we say that is because of everything that goes with the Western way of life. It's the morals, it's the ethics, it's the your handshake is as good as gold, I'll give you my shirt off my back type thing, you know, just never cross me the wrong way, essentially. And it's just all of those old school morals and ethics that we were all raised upon that you don't see every day, and the values that you don't see every day as much as you should. So that's kind of why we preach that.
And I think it's exposing people to it that might not ordinarily get exposed to it. Some people, the fair is too crowded for them. You know, this is a simpler event for them to go to and be exposed to, you know, that side of life, but also our department. You know, I mean, I think people forget that we police in a rural community as opposed to a police department that focuses in on a populated small area. We've got a very large geographical area. I mean, that's why we have rural deputies that deal with the rural, you know, victims and crimes, because they can connect with the ranchers and farmers. That's really important. But we're also exposing our deputies to this, which is a really good thing, because that's the environment which they work. And so I think the more connected they are to it, the more they understand what it's like to do police in a rural environment and appreciate it. And I think some of them had never been exposed to it. I mean, they get out and did ribbon roping with our, you know, our SWAT team, SED team, and some of them, you know, it was completely foreign to them. You know, fortunately, nobody got kicked. But
Right, that's what I was going to say. It's like, my goodness.
That almost happened. But the exposure that they get has been tremendous. I mean, they are around it. That's the whole point of, I think, what Chad was saying, the culture of it and being part of it and part of something that they enjoy. And that's been a big deal. And quite honestly, Randy, I mean, I don't think any of us walked in not confident that we couldn't make this successful. I think we did. But there's a lot of unknowns. So, you know, we had to get the foundation to front, you know, a significant amount of money in case we didn't get sponsorships, in case we didn't have a great first event. I think, you know, Chad's relationship with our sponsors, you know, people that he's known for a long time, we quickly learned that they're there, and they came out really quick. And that's a big relief from us that, hey, we don't necessarily need all that seed money to get started. As a matter of fact, we grew beyond that year one in seed money. We basically have taken nothing from the foundation to do this. You know, they fronted some money at the beginning. They got that money back right away in year one. And that's why it was we knew it was going to grow. We knew it could take some time. We knew it was going to be successful. but there's some unknowns and there's some commitments. And I think after that year one, when that crowd got there and it overwhelmed our food and beverage, Bonnie and Claude, that were like overwhelmed by how big the crowd was. We didn't know what to expect, and I think that kind of opened our eyes. Wow, this is it. This is the way to go. And then obviously the next year, it's like, okay, from that year on, we expect to sell out every year. And that's why now it's a push where people will tell me, yeah, I want to go. Did you get your tickets yet? No. You better get your tickets because it's going to sell out. I mean, we had several hundred in waiting last year. Of people, wanting to, and we didn't want to oversell it, and
Right.
So that's a great problem to have. It really is. But it encourages people that buy now. This is the time to do it. It's like if you're going to buy a concert ticket at the fair, buy it early. Otherwise, it's going to sell out, or you're not going to get a good ticket. Here, you're going to get a good ticket for a cheap price, but you got to do it early because you don't want to wait until the last minute if possible. And the same with Easton Corbin. Get your tickets, get in there early because you don't want to miss this. It's grown in too big of an event for people to want, to learn that they can't get in.
And along those lines, the sheriff brings up a great point. It's get your tickets, get them early, but then get to the rodeo and the concert early. And that's a big reason why we started the fan zone too, is to try and alleviate some of the traffic congestion, because we've been so fortunate that this event has grown, so quickly. I look at last year, a year before last, and the 101 was a gridlock right there at the fairgrounds. Everybody trying to get off at 46 East there and get to the fairgrounds, and we had contestants that were stuck in traffic, and it was just gridlocked, and we had to push off the start of the rodeo because of that. So that's another reason why we started the fan zone. Get people in early, let them do some shopping, let them get some food, beverages, get their seats, and not have to fight traffic.
And not only the getting your tickets, also the free tickets too.
Absolutely.
So your kids 12 and under are free. Still got to get your free ticket. Law enforcement are
Yes.
free.
Yep.
Still got to get your free ticket because they all have to be contribute towards the max
Absolutely.
capacity, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And the tickets that you had mentioned are for the rodeo. 12
Right.
and under for the rodeo are free. Law enforcement employees in San Luis County are free. For the Easton Corbin night, $20 for adults. Children between the ages of 6 and 12 are $10, and then under the age of 6 are free for Easton Corbin.
Wow.
So it doesn't matter what ticket level you get for either night. You have to go online to goodmedicinepresents.com or SLOsheriffsrodeo.com and acquire your ticket, even if it's a free ticket, because like you said, we have to account for everybody that comes through the door.
But Sheriff, we were also talking about the sponsors. You guys are bringing in like national sponsors. You guys got, Prefert, you got Resistol, you've got, you've got some big wheels that want to be a part of this. And did you look at when now people are coming to you guys, like you said, Sacramento? Did you guys lean on San Bernardino to kind of get, through the muck at the beginning?
No, not at all. No. I think I think the key sponsors were either Chad knew him or we knew him from Rancheros that have already supported us. We already had we had friendships and relationships with like Resistol, but we developed a working relationship with them. Chad and I went back to the Resistol factory in Texas for our duty hats. We allowed cowboy hats, but we were going to pick the color, we were going to pick the shaping and all that. So we had kind of a business relationship with them already, and they were awesome. And obviously they own Cactus, but some of them Chad knew from the community or from other relationships. Prefert's, Eddie Prefert goes on our big ride, but he stepped up huge. Our shoots and everything else that we've either gotten donated by him new, or we bought our bull shoots for, a very good price, and they were brand new. So
Yeah, last year you bought them at the NFR and drove them back, right?
We did. They used them for the PBR finals actually at the South Point, and it was the only time they had been used. And talking about connections, and a good friend of mine is the general manager at South Point, and then another good friend that goes on the ride, puts together all of the events there at the South Point Equestrian Arena, and Joe Bumgardner, and he's a world champion bullfighter and used to fight at the NFR and all that stuff. And anyways, he called me up and he said, "Hey, we got these chutes if you want them." And so yeah, we just bought them from them and made a deal with Eddie and South Point and everything, and we sent somebody over to pick them up. It was great.
So, but Sheriff, when you're talking to like these guys, these big wheels that I mean, are they immediately like, yeah, we want to be a part of that? Or did it take a little bit convincing?
I don't think, I mean, probably Chad's best to answer the big question, but I'll say that people keep coming, but the big ones jumped on board, I'd say fairly quickly. But I think after year one, I mean, it's just growing to the point that, we've changed some of our levels and stuff. Simply, we didn't want to accommodate everybody, but it's a little difficult to do that unless we find the right area to sponsor or price point or something else. But I mean, I think from the very beginning, Chad obviously had some reaching out to do, and he pulled in numbers quickly, because I can tell you that concern about, okay, we're asking for this money from the foundation, are we going to be able to pay it back, in year one? That changed quickly as soon as he said, "Hey, I just got this person, all in for sponsorship." So it came pretty quickly and pretty naturally, but not without some work from Chad, because he had to reach out.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like anything in life with relationships. If you treat people properly, they're going to keep, treating you properly in return. And years ago, when I had started my team roping, associations and all that, and I remember it was 20 years ago, somewhere in there, and I was just a young graduate from Cal Poly, and I wanted Prefert to be the sponsor, and I called them, and they said, "Nah, we're not taking any sponsorships on right now. Of course, you get whoever you can on the phone." And I had told them, I said, "Do you guys mind if I fly back and just come tour the facility?" And so I did, and I flew back to Mount Pleasant, Texas, and amazing facility. And this was 20 years ago. I can only imagine what it's like now. And I left there with a sponsorship. And
wow, that's a little over the top, Chad.
Yeah,
that's sales 101.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so it was great, and then so that relationship started 20 some odd years ago, and just like anything, I mean, I didn't ask for anything excessive. I just wanted them to be on board with what we were doing. So if at that time, if they could sponsor a team roping shoot, and we hauled that team roping shoot everywhere, we put on ropings, and it was branded with Prefer, it had our decals, and I don't think I asked for another team roping shoot for a few years or somewhere in there. So we didn't overstep our boundaries, but we were marketing obviously Prefert, and then fast forward to the Sheriff's Rodeo and Eddie being on the ride, and they continued to support, and they've just been great. And kind of going back to Resistol, so Dustin Noblet, the CEO of Pro Equine Group that owns Resistol and Cactus Saddlery and Cactus Ropes and Pro Equine, he's phenomenal. He's a Cal Poly graduate as well, and known him for years, and so he just wants to support anything rodeo local, and obviously boost the Western way of life, the sport of rodeo, and so on. So he was on board from the beginning with us in this endeavor, and he's been phenomenal ever since. Devin Markham, who's the general manager for Resistol, good friend of ours as well, and they all support it, so it's really neat.
And not only that, like I said, we're talking like even our local guys. Mm-hmm. I mean, people were reaching out to us, going, thinking that we did their sponsors, but it was like, no, just like, they're like, how do we get involved? How do we become, sponsors of the rodeo? And it's like, that's a good draw, because they see that, that event as a valuable event for their business, their local business, to market, to the local people. And that's what it is you guys have the local people, the local draw, and you have a huge community, support, which for you, Sheriff, it's got to feel awesome.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look at Premier Ag. Premier Ag is probably a good example of what you said. We're right in their backyard. They sponsored the bull riding. I mean, they did it all the first year. Mm-hmm. They're phenomenal. I mean, the bucking chutes are stored at my property, and they come out and unload them off the trailer, and I mean all extra above and beyond what we had ever expected from them, but they've been amazing partners. And it's like we could go through probably every single sponsor and point out what they've done for us and how much commitment they've given us to make this happen.
Yeah, and we try to treat them right in return, all of our sponsors, obviously, as far as what they get in their packages, their recognition at the rodeo, the banners, the swag that they get. We cater the skybox for them. We give them VIP skybox passes to both nights, and beautiful buckles or spurs or whatever their package entails, resist all hats, things like that. So they know that they're getting something for their dollar, as well as, being able to put it towards a good cause. We're not taking advantage of them at all. And I want to say one thing it made me think of, you guys, I appreciate, the flattering comments of, me starting a lot of this myself or Nate. There's no way a lot of this would have been nearly as successful if it wasn't for the sheriff. The sheriff obviously has a phenomenal reputation in the county, and there's a reason he's been the sheriff for 15 years and the best sheriff this county's ever had. So when you look at his roots, that's how I got my promotion. Yeah. So
good one, Chad.
Yeah.
When you look at like his history in the county, as for what 30 some odd years, close to 40 years in law enforcement, and then running the security at the Mid-State Fair for years himself, and just all of the intuition and knowledge that he has around these types of events and support within the county. I mean, you combine that with the experience I had in the rodeo industry, the connections I had, Nate, and the three of us, put it together, and it was kind of a home run.
Well, like I said, on that subject, I'll say thank you guys for your service, because like I said, without a sturdy, solid, sheriff, undersheriff, and all your, deputies, I mean, our county wouldn't be what it is today. So, I mean, you're 100% right on how everything unfolds under the leadership of Sheriff Easton Parkinson. So,
well, thank you. I would say that I mean, it's like anything else. I mean, you put the right people in place, and they're going to make you successful, and that's what I have. I mean, from the sheriff's office, I think we have phenomenal employees across the board. I really do. I mean, if we don't have somebody that doesn't work out, they don't stay. We don't want them there. We want that community-oriented person. We want that person that's out there doing a job. And you could take that model of putting good people in the right spot to be successful, and apply it to the rodeo as well, because that's what we have. That's why we're successful. It is a group effort in a lot of ways, but it also has to have, leaders, involved in it, and have the same philosophy of, this is about community. This is what the whole thing is about. If we were there to profit from this personally, I don't think it would look the same, because people realize when they pay $10 a ticket that we're not out to make money on this. We're out to make a community event, and it's proven itself. So, and I think the team that Chad and Nate have built that participate. I mean, we just had another chief that's retiring at the end of next month, I think, or end of this month, who wants to come in and help with Chad, and he's shown it over the last few years of attending how interested he is to do that. You don't attract those type of people that want to come in and help. You're a great example, Randy. I mean, you stepped up and have helped us tremendously in not only getting the word out, but obviously the production you put on for us at the rodeo itself. It's built on reputation, and it's built on the success of your people, and I think that's what has happened over the last several years.
Yeah, just to add a couple things on that, the rodeo has blown up because of people like Chuck and Vicky Hauk. They're behind the scenes.
Oh, phenomenal pictures.
They are our photographers. They take phenomenal photographs. They show up to all the qualifiers, take all our photographs for all the qualifying events, put them online, and they don't charge anybody for them. If you're a contestant and you want one of the pictures, you just email them and they send it to you. They run all of our social media platforms. Chuck has a history in photography, and they have a sponsorship with a big camera company County and so on. So they have top-notch equipment. They come out, they unfortunately moved back to Southern California to be around their grandkids, which I don't hold against them. I just miss them. But they'll come up here to the Central Coast, a few times a year just to film videos of the sheriff, myself, Nate, talking about the rodeo, and everything that you guys see on social media is them. And they donate their time behind the scenes to do this. So they are the reason that this word is out there. I mean, they'll send me statistics of the Instagram stats or Facebook, and you're looking at 40, 50,000 views or 40 to 50,000 interactions in a 2-3 week period. That's what's gotten the brand recognition out there as well. And then, like the sheriff had said, yourself and Eric with What's Up North County and what you guys have done to promote the rodeo and having the live stream of the rodeo the last couple years. And I know we're going to do it this year. And I know we have some exciting things
we got some
planned
big stuff happening
for this year as well. So we're I think you take that whole team and you put it together, and that's why this thing's blown up so well.
Well, again, we want to say we appreciate being a part of what you guys do, because, again, I don't think what we got going on as far as like our mobile stuff would happen, because, again, we talked about it that very first year when you asked Eric, you're like, hey, what do you think about doing this? And Eric scratched his head and he goes, after you left, he's like, I think we can do this. And I'm like, what? Probably like Sheriff Parkinson. Yeah. I went, what? Okay, let's.
Another one of Chad's great ideas.
Yeah, but, and again, I mean, look where we're at. Now we have the command center, we call it, and roll right up. And so we're growing right along with you guys. So, and we love being part of it. We love the Western way of life. We love the people when you go there, when you see people, people are normal. When you see sheriffs like yourself, and you see yourself and sheriff and undersheriff, it's like, whoa, those are big people in the county. Well, you're just normal people. And it's cool to see the officers outside the uniforms, like you were saying beforehand. It's cool to see the officers outside the uniform, the regular role, regular people. You're competing. Are you competing this year?
Yes, sir.
Sheriff?
No.
No,
you know what? That's a given. He's going to compete. He is a competitive guy. I'm not. I'm going to watch and other than my simple ride out, probably keep it at that.
But do you ever call him the Bandit?
The Bandit.
The Bandit. I gotta show this. I got a picture of the Bandit.
We are not showing this picture.
No.
No.
Okay.
He's heard about my Halloween
your Halloween costume. No, I saw
Well, actually,
the
it wasn't a
Bandit.
Halloween costume. It was my dad's 70th birthday party. 70s theme. I was Bandit from Smokey and the Bandit.
All right, we're going to show it at some point, but maybe not today.
Oh, yeah, I'd show it. I'm sure I have extra photos.
Do you want to see it?
Oh, no, I've seen it. I saw it first. I was there.
He was there.
You were there. Can we show it, Chad? Come on.
Nope.
Come on.
Nope.
Sheriff, can you override this?
I override it.
All right.
Show it.
Eric, let's show this.
I'm proud of the fact that
this
you did
is-
stuff
look at
like
that.
the
Right
Bandit.
there.
Good.
There
Oh,
he
look
is.
who's in the background. That's perfect.
See, I gave it myself too.
Look, you guys had this queued up and ready.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
that was a good time. I will say, full disclosure in that is a red Solo cup with ice water because I was sicker than a dog that evening. My dad's 70th party we've been planning for 2 years, I guess, and I got the flu. And my wife told me, you cannot go down to this party like this. And I said, I can't miss this party for my dad because we had it at the ranch. So I went down there and I drank ice water all night long because I was doing everything I could just to keep from throwing up. But nonetheless, yeah, that was my Smokey and the
That was
Bandit
still him,
costume.
though.
Yeah.
You know what? I literally stared at this picture and I go, is that Chad? and I zoomed in. I'm like, so I had to ask your sister when we were talking. I said, was that Chad as Smokey and the Bandit? She's like, yeah. I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, you were right. I mean, you could tell no matter.
Oh yeah. No, I was supposed to wear a wig, and I'm like, I can't do the wig thing. I'll do the mustache, but that's about it. No, it was a lot of fun. His dad is great. His parents are great. His family's great, but it was a lot of fun. Everybody dressing up. It was entertainment just in that alone.
You know who played? We had the band out there that night, and it was Bitterwater Road.
Was it?
Yeah. And
Awesome.
They did awesome.
They were
Well, I've
really
been talking
good.
to John about coming on as well. So definitely want to get them and on here and hear their story and journey in the musical industry and the music industry, and then
Absolutely.
about playing at the Sheriff Rodeo. So
So we had them for the rodeo party committee party last
we
year,
did.
and that's when we. I mean, that's the first time I ever heard them, and I'm like, these guys are great.
Yeah, so we had reached out to Jason, Jason Carvalho, owner of Barrel House, which huge supporter of the rodeo. Barrel House is a premier sponsor. They've been a premier sponsor since the get-go and just a big part of why this is so successful. But for our rodeo committee party, like the sheriff had said, what we do is every year after the rodeo, usually like a month or two later, so we can let the dust settle, we have a little gathering for our committee to thank them and barbecue and all that stuff. And I reached out to Jason and asked, hey, do you guys have any good acts that you would recommend to play for us? And they're the ones who introduced us to Bitterwater Road, and they came out and played that night, and we're like, oh, you guys are amazing. And then we've used them for my dad's party, and then here they are playing at the rodeo now.
Very awesome. Well, gentlemen, I want to thank you guys for coming in and being a part of this journey. Sheriff Easton Parkinson, busy to come and be in What's Up North County.
My pleasure. Thanks for having us. I really appreciate the support from you and Eric and the work you're putting into this, because you're part of it. You're part of what we do.
Oh, we appreciate that. Like I said, we wouldn't, want to be anywhere else come May, Mother's Day weekend. My wife loves that. We're busy. We got to go to the Sheriff Rodeo.
That's right.
But we appreciate that. And Chad, once more, reiterate the event and the costs and everything, and where can people go to get tickets?
So May 9th and 10th, Paso Robles Event Center. May 9th is our Friday night kickoff concert with Easton Corbin. Saturday, May 10th, is the rodeo finals. You can go to SLOsheriffsrodeo.com and click on the ticket link, or you can go straight to goodmedicinepresents.com and purchase the tickets there. But like we said earlier, make sure you get your tickets ahead of time, because they are going to sell out. Make sure you get a ticket, even if you get a quote-unquote free ticket, for a child or so on. We still got to account for that. So get them early, because they are flying off the shelves right now.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming in. Be safe out there. We appreciate you guys. We appreciate your service. And looking forward to May 9th and 10th for the kickoff of the SLO Sheriff's Rodeo 4th annual.
4th annual.
Right?
That's right.
Awesome, gentlemen. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Randy.
Well, there you have it, guys. Hey, make sure you guys get your tickets for this rodeo. It will be sold out, no doubt. Get your tickets. Kids are 12 and under are free on Saturday, $10 on Saturday, $20 on Friday for the Easton Corbin. Bring mom out. It's Mother's Day weekend. Treat her to the weekend, guys. We'll see you at the rodeo. But as always, guys, we can't do this without you and our sponsors. We'd like to thank Esquire Wine Travelers Hideaway, Visit Atascadero, 805 Customs, MGP Coating, North County Junk Removal, The Trailer Barn, Story Termite Pest Control, Borehone Auto Center, Kennedy Club Fitness, Airflow Filter Services, and Suprema Meat Markets. Thanks again, guys. We'll see you at the rodeo.
Hi, this is Dave Story, small game hunter with Story Termite and Pest. We're a full-service termite and pest control company. From rodents to termites, we can take care of all your pest control needs. Call today. We can tailor a pest control program that will meet your needs and budget. Contact us at 805-460-0650 or at storytermite.com. Remember, we don't have customers, we have friends.
Hi, it's Alex with Suprema Meat Market. We are a Mexican meat market with a taqueria. Come enjoy our high-quality cuts and meats. We offer choice and prime Harris Ranch beef, as well as chicken, seafood, and pork items. In the taqueria, all of our tacos come with handmade tortillas. We also offer specialty items like chilaquiles and chile rellenos. Come enjoy Taco Tuesday with Suprema. We offer our tacos at $1.99 each. Suprema Meat Market is located at 8950 Montecito Avenue in Atascadero.
Are you tired of looking at that worn-out concrete garage floor, patio, or porch? Look no further than MGP Coatings, where customer service reigns supreme. Our team goes above and beyond to ensure your satisfaction every step of the way. Before we even start coating, we meticulously repair your concrete, ensuring a flawless finish that lasts. And here's the best part. Our Pentec coatings are 4 times stronger than epoxy, so they won't chip or peel, making maintenance a breeze. Plus, they come with a limited lifetime warranty. Call us today at 805-952-5301 or check out our Facebook and Instagram and experience the MGP coating difference. Don't wait. Transform your garage, patio, porch, or driveway and become a part of the MGP coating family.
What's up, North County? This is Teresa Branch with Airflow Filter Service. We are a family-owned business right here in the North County. We have air filters, oils and lubricants, and hydraulic hoses. We provide services that include air filter cleaning, DPF cleaning, and waste oil collection. Come check us out at 1140 Ramada Drive, and we can help you with all your automotive and industrial vehicle needs.
Hi, this is Omid
and Deanna
at North County Junk Removal. We are a business known for helping our neighbors and our community.
Let us help you save money and get rid of any unwanted items.
And rest assured that our professional team adheres to global standards of safety and recycling. We are fully licensed and insured for your peace of mind.
We are locally owned and operated, and we look forward to helping you with all your junk removal needs.
Please call us at 805-769-6966.
Atascadero isn't your standard getaway. We're unique, just like you. We're growing, transforming, and figuring it out as we go. We're a town filled with innovators, artists, makers, and game changers. We're a little bit country, a little bit funky, and always authentic. We're here for your good times, your slow times, and your changing times. We're all in Atascadero. Come see for yourself. Learn more at visitatascadero.com.